Hello, everyone, and welcome to the virtual business learning event for hiring hidden talent. Again, just a reminder, make sure that you put everything on mute as this will be recording. And we're going to discuss, we are going to be able to discuss, like for today's agenda, it's going to be, we're going to have a presentation regarding business services overview with Clinton Hatcher, our business liaison for CareerSource Brevard. We're going to also discuss the hiring second chance individuals by myself, Beatrice Borsico, the program coordinator for CareerSource Brevard, as well as Brevard County Justice Involved Statistics with Tiffany Raymond, the employment specialist for the Florida Department of Corrections. And in our keynote speaker, we are going to be discussing the expanding your company's diversity, equality, and inclusion efforts by Amberly Perhudka, the Director of Clinical and Profession Services at Florida State University. Just a reminder to mute your mute your button as this presentation is being recorded. So we have here business services from Clinton Hatcher, our business liaison. Go ahead, Clinton.
Well, thank you, B. My name, like I stated earlier, my name is Clinton Hatcher, and I am a business liaison here at CareerSource Brevard, here on the Space Coast, well known as the Countdown County. And so I work in our business services department, and our mission here at CareerSource Brevard is to facilitate and be the catalyst for workforce development services that are responsive to the employment needs of Brevard County. And pretty much this last sentence pretty much sums up what we do in business services. Our work is business driven and talent focused. So our job is to help you meet your needs. And how do we do that? Through our recruiting services, employee training. We actually have some retention services that we offer. We work with you on workforce planning, consulting service, labor market analysis, and some grant opportunities. All right, next slide, please. All right, so recruiting services overview. So let's talk about that. Next slide. So we actually have our own job board system, which is Employ Florida, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. And through that system, it gives us the ability to post your job vacancies. It gives you the ability to actually log into the system and source and look for talent. Also, you can, once you find that qualified candidate you're looking for, you can click and review their resume, and then so on and so on and so on. And once you find that resume, then you can interview that candidate and decide what you want to do from there. If you can go back to the slide, I just want to highlight the last thing that we do, which is host and promote recruiting events. And that is a very invaluable tool for your organization, because it actually, it gives you the ability to come in any of our 3 centers, whether it be Palm Bay, Rockledge, or Titusville, and host an event that is catered towards your business. And it gives you the ability to interview candidates on the spot. And if you find a great candidate, you can make an offer right there on the spot. So we highly encourage that. So that's just a quick overview of some of the recruitment services. Next slide, please. All right, training programs overview. Now we're getting ready to talk about some money, which I know that most employers are excited about, talking about money and how we can support you through our work-based training options. So next slide, please. So we have 3 work-based training programs. Our creme de la creme program is our on-the-job training program, which is where an employer wants to train a new hire. Okay. Our next program is our incoming worker training program. This program is actually dedicated to your existing staff. So your current staff members that may be missing a skill or a requirement. Retention or promotion is the catalyst or the justification for why this training is needed. All right. And last but not least, we have our work experience program, which this program is a candidate-driven program, which is basically an in-house program that we actually send candidates to you, and we actually pay 100% of the wage for these individuals to work for you. And so, just to kind of give a quick overview, so our on-the-job training program, the employer wants to train a new hire, and we reimburse you 50% of the wage that you're paying that individual. Next, we have our incumbent worker training, where we reimburse you 50% of the cost for the training that you want to provide for that existing employee that you have. And then we have our work experience program, which is basically we send you great candidates to help fill the needs of your positions. All right, next slide. So let's talk a little bit more detail about the on-the-job training program. So, employer wants to train someone new. Basically, with this program, we reimburse you 50% of the wage. Okay. Now, I will tell you that our our funding is federal. Our organization is federally and state funded. So, as many of you know, when it comes to government, there sometimes can be a lot of hoops that you have to go through in order to see things through. But that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here to help you every step of the way, to help you jump through those hoops. We take your hand and we take you through the process. So the position has to be at least full time, has to be paying at least $12 or more. And there are some eligibility requirements that the candidate and you as the business have to meet. This process generally takes between 7 to 10 business days to come to fruition, and we take your hand and walk you through every process. Okay, next slide. So here on the Space Coast, we have several key industries that we focus in on, which is aerospace, aviation, healthcare, construction, manufacturing, information technology, and professional services. And so these sectors are some of the sectors that we focus on when it comes to our work-based training programs. All right, which leads me into one of the newest programs that we offer here at CareerSource Brevard, which is our Skill Up Brevard program. All right, next slide. So we have partnered with Metrics Learning, and Metrics Learning is actually an online teaching platform that has over 6,000 courses and 120 skills tracks that you can allow your employees to go through. Some of those skill tracks include Microsoft Office, Google Apps. They actually have a SHRM track on there. They actually have a CompTIA track on there, Cisco track. So there are several different options that you have the ability to go through. I like to say it like this. If you are interested in interior design, all the way down to IT, manufacturing, there is a course for you. There is a course for you within the Skill Up Brevard assessment program. This program is at no cost to you, so it doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is just reach out to us at CareerSource Brevard, and Beatrice has my contact information on one of the slides that she's going to feature. And just reach out to us and we'll get you squared away. All right, so next slide, please. So this just highlights some of the things that are within the Skill Up Brevard program. And so we have some assessments, like for example, like typing tests is very popular. If someone says if they have bookkeeping skills, there's an assessment for that. We have our soft skills training. Then there are several continuing education courses that you can take, and there are industry specific courses that you can take as well. Next slide, please. So our labor market information. All right, next slide. So we have the ability to conduct labor market analysis, and that is giving you wage surveys, labor projections, industry trends, and research and statistics. And how do we do that? Next slide, please. We actually have a contract with MZ Burning Glass. And through that contract, it gives us the ability to pull all of these statistical and industry analysis, so that way you can make an educated decision on, what you want to pay your employees, or If you are looking to grow in a different industry or grow in a different market and you don't know what those wages are, or if you're trying to figure out what the demand is for that particular industry, we have the ability to provide you that information. So all you got to do is reach out to us and we will be more than happy to provide you that information. So now I'm going to turn it back over to B. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can wait to the end and we will definitely get your questions answered. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Clinton. Again, my name is Beatrice Borsico, and I'm the program coordinator for RISE Hiring Second Chance Individuals, the reentry program that we have here in CareerSource Brevard. Why should I care about hiring second chance individuals? In 2017 report, it was found that the mass incarceration costs states and federal government and American families $182 billion a year. Many ex-offenders are or become homeless due to the lack of employment. It is estimated that the homelessness costs Brevard County alone $27 million each year in the areas of healthcare, legal fees, and emergency responders and education. So let's talk about the myths and facts. The myths that some individuals may be thinking about is that the ex-offenders with learning disabilities, substance abuse, mental health illness has no skills to offer employers, which in fact, although that the ex-offenders do suffer for some of those barriers, not all do. Ex-offenders have a trainable and possesses a lot of raw talent that only has to be cultivated. Just because an individual has a troubled past or an impairment does not imply that they are incompetent by any means. Nearly all ex-offenders are violent. And the fact of the matter is that in 2018, in Florida, 68% of individuals were admitted to the state prison, and 73% of the individuals are on community control, were serving time for nonviolent crimes. We have another myth that individuals may think that the ex-offenders will make a bad employees. Studies have shown that hiring ex-offenders result in greater retention rates. Employees with criminal records are more likely to stay with an individual longer. The studies also have shown that the ex-offenders have the same evaluation scores as the non-offenders employees. Another myth indicated that the ex-offenders are not educated. The fact of the matter is that nearly 1 out of every 3 justice-involved individuals graduate from high school or college. Will I be at risk of neglect hiring an individual with a record? Not necessarily. It depends on the type of crime committed compared to the position that you are hiring for. If there's a correlation between the crime committed and the job duties for that position, there's like state laws that provides those guidance. Everyone deserves a second chance. At CareerSource Brevard is successfully preparing job seekers whose background includes some degree of justice involvement for success reentry to the workforce. The benefits of hiring those hidden talents is that they lower turnover and add loyalty to your company. They have diversity in the workplace, and they untapped talent is a tight labor market. They overcome adversity, and they have a high employee engagement. And also another insight to it is that it will help your community. It will help with the reduce of the recidivism. It will save taxpayers money, and it will help create a healthy and safe communities. There's also federal incentives that is offered by the employers to hire individuals with a justice involvement. We have the Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program, which reduces taxes up to $9,600 over 2 years when you make a qualified hire. The federal bonding program receive a business insurance policy for protection against any money loss or property damage incurred from the second chance hire. And then also we have the on-the-job training, which the wage reimbursements is up to 50% while you train your new hire. The work experience program is a no-cost way to try out a candidate while offering skills training. The federal bonding is all employers are eligible for federal bonding services. It's offered through the Department of Economic Opportunities. The bonds can be insured as soon as the applicant has a job offer and a scheduled to start date. So we will help you with verifying the employment for that process for the federal bonding. And it will also take about a week to process that, where the Department of Economic Opportunity will be in contact with you. So the bonds are in the units of 5,000 and provides coverage for 6 months period. When the initial bond coverage expires, the employer can purchase continued bond coverage from the traveler's insurance company. If workers demonstrate a job honesty under the bond coverage provided by the federal bonding program. 1 unit of the bond insurance covers is usually significant to cover most of the job applicants. Who's at risk for job applicants? The ex-offenders or justice-involved individuals, recovering substance abuse individuals, welfare recipients, or other persons for poor financial credits or who have declared bankruptcy, economically disadvantaged youth and adults who lack work history, individuals who dishonorably discharge from the military, and anyone who cannot secure employment without bonding services. Employed workers who need bonding services to avoid layoff or secure a promotion are also eligible. And also the individuals must be eligible to work in the US and must receive wages from federal taxes automatically deducted. The only individuals that cannot be federally bonded is individuals who are self-employed and independent contractors. They cannot be federally bonded. For more information, I can send you guys the link of the Federal Bonding Information Program to help you be aware of the federal bonding incentive. We also have the Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program, which is another federal tax incentive program for for-profit employers hiring job seekers that fall within a certain target groups, including individuals with justice involved. Who are those eligible qualifications? Are individuals with justice involvement, an individual who have been convicted of a felony and who is hired within 1 year after the conviction or release date from prison. Qualified TANF individuals, qualified veterans, vocational rehab referral individuals, qualified SNAP individuals, and Social Security disability. And also long-term unemployment individuals are also qualified for the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. We also have the Employee Retention Credit, which under the American Rescue Plan Act, the ERC is a refundable tax credit against certain employment taxes equals 50% of qualified wages paid by the eligible employer after March 12th of 2020 and before January 1st, 2021. 70% of qualified wages paid by eligible employers after December 31st, 2020, and before January 1st, 2022. Eligible employers can get immediate access to the credit by reducing employment tax deposit they are otherwise required to make. For example, if it's a small business employer that hires an individual's released from prison following incarceration for a felony, within the last 12 months, the individual from January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 can qualify for the credit up to $16,000 for the employee by claiming both Work Opportunity Tax Credit and the Employee Retention Credit provided by the same wages are not used to calculate the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and the ERC. And for more information, go through the IRS website to get all of that information there. Now we're going to talk about SHRM Foundation's overview. They have a huge campaign that's getting talent back to work. Johnny C. Taylor is the president and CEO for SHRM. He is committed to provide a criminal background, he indicated that the criminal background should never be viewed as an automatic disqualification for employment. It is time to put the end of the stigma and that holds back inclusive hiring and retiring updated employment practices, and HR must be led away. I believe.
Beatrice,
Hey,
I don't believe the video is playing on our end with sound.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
I see the video, but I can't hear.
You can't hear it. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Hold on for 1 second.
Giving someone a second chance is not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. We know recidivism drops dramatically when people with criminal backgrounds have meaningful work. But did you know they can also become your most valuable employees? More than 60% of managers and HR leaders SHRM surveyed rate the quality of these individuals' work to be as good or better than other employees. Their cost per hire is similar, and they're especially loyal workers. Hiring for second chances is a win-win-win. First, it makes communities safer by giving the formerly incarcerated the ability to earn an honest living and avoid a life of crime. Secondly, it provides employers a valuable pool of willing and trainable workers. And thirdly, it restores dignity and self-worth through work. I'm proud to say that SHRM supports our federal government partner, CSOSA, and its Hire One campaign.
Employers benefit from this organization, from the getting talent back to work. The organization benefit in a variety of ways by employing people with criminal records. Employing workers with criminal records builds inclusiveness, diverse, and successful workplaces. Talented workers are widely available due to being ignored by the broader workforce. Creating an opportunity for people with a criminal background demonstrates good corporate citizenship and builds stronger communities. The barriers for the second chance employer or second chance employees is despite many employers benefit significant barriers existing for people with criminal background, 1/3 of the working age US adults have criminal record. 26% of managers and 14% of human resource professionals are unwilling to hire people with a criminal record. Prior to COVID, they had 27% of formerly incarcerated individuals that were unemployed. There were 27% of people that was unemployed due to a background justice involved. Many people with criminal records are unemployed and insecure, that has insecure jobs. Here's both myself and Clinton's background or contact information to be reached regarding more information about the work opportunity tax credit and all the incentives that we've presented today. Now I would like to introduce Tiffany Raymond from the employment specialist from Florida Department of Corrections. Tiffany.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I apologize for that first slide looking a little crazy. Just disregard. So yes, I am the employment specialist for Circuit 18. I handle 3 offices in Brevard County, and I handle the one in Seminole County as well. I work with individuals that are pre-release, as well as individuals who have already been released and are now currently on supervision. There are the occasional individuals who are justice involved, who are no longer supervised, that will still reach out because it's tough out there. So we try to stick to the motto here at DOC, inspiring success by transforming one life at a time. And that is definitely what I focus on. B, if you'll go to the next slide, please. Thank you so much. So as an employment specialist, most people think we just work on employment, try to find employers, do job placement, resumes, employability skills, which is true, but we kind of wear a lot of hats. We are counselors, we are stand-in clergy, we are friends, we are family, we are cheerleaders, we do the mock interviews, the employability skills, the interview skills and prep. We do referrals for different community partners, vocational rehab referral assistance. We order IDs, driver's license, birth certificates, social security card replacements. We do the applications for them, especially for our registered citizens who don't have access to the internet. They need a little more help. We do a lot of things for a lot of people. Without B, I probably would be lost. We add ourselves to boards. We do additional training. There's a new Face It initiative coming out that's going to reach every offender being released to Brevard and Seminole County within 30 days. It's a 2-hour class that covers everything that they'll need to know about what we can help with. We go over what probation is, the different types of probation, what to expect, and answer any questions and kind of calm any misbeliefs that they may have. B, next slide, if you would, please. We also do a lot in the community. This is just a couple of the events that I participated in. We have job fairs in the community, as well as at the probation offices in both counties. We do fundraising for Special Olympics Florida. That's in the middle up there at Tampa Buck Stadium. We do the virtual toolkit with Brevard County Jail, which basically is a shorter version of Face It prior to release. Lets them know what probation is, different types, what to expect, scenarios to avoid. Just give them some insight that they may not have. Mr. Goins down here on the left was one of our individuals that was in prison for, B, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 27 years, I think, with him? And he got out, and from October to December, he was able to get health care, receive his medication. He was getting treatment for cancer as well as COVID. He got an apartment. He got his driver's license, purchased a truck, and was hired on with Beatrice's help at the city of Palm Bay, making a very decent wage. And that was done in 3 months' time. So he's rest in peace. Unfortunately, we lost him back in August, but he's definitely a success story, and we're very proud of him. In the middle bottom, that was National Night Out. We participated with the city of Melbourne and had a nice event. We had bingo cards for the kids to go around and ask all of the different agencies questions. So they got to meet some of the public service industries, law enforcement, fire, paramedics, probation, all that fun stuff. Next slide, please. So now we're going to get into the number game. Statistics. These are kind of sad, and it makes me a little depressed to read them. But so as of June 30th, 2021, Florida's inmate population, now this is Florida as a whole, not specifically Brevard. I was unable to get those numbers, unfortunately. But there were roughly 80,495 inmates present in the prison system as of June 30th, 2021, just in Florida. And that is prison. That does not include jail. Or juvenile. So that number is significantly higher for those people that are waiting sentencing. During the fiscal year 2020-2021, a total of 14,877 inmates participated in academic education programs, and 5,308 inmates participated in career and technical classes, including but not limited to mandatory literacy programs, adult basic education, and GED career technical education. Next, the number of offenders released from community supervision were 68,065. So those are people who completed in some form, either they filed for early term, or they finished out completely, or the judge for some reason took back and let them end early. All of those people are still in the community, but they're no longer being actively supervised. Now, Brevard County specifically, as of January 7th of this year, just Brevard alone had 6,686 individuals currently supervised. That does not include juvenile offenders, and that does not include individuals that are on a program called ICOTS that are in another state but still being monitored here. And in Brevard, we have roughly 595,000 people. So if you think about it, a little over 6,500 people are currently supervised. That doesn't give us a total of how many people are no longer supervised, how many people are registered felons because they have a high point crime that they've committed and are still living in Brevard County. So that number is significantly higher, which is why awareness and being a little more lenient on who we hire would definitely be helpful, because there's quite a few people around here with a record. B, next slide, please. So this took a little time. I hope you guys appreciate this slide. Had to call them all individually. So this is they're a little bit behind on updating. So the most recent I could obtain was 2019, but this is all of the law enforcement agencies in Brevard County. And these are the statistics. So based out of a population of 595,000 as of 2019, the arrests totaled 20,413 people. So and then the numbers are broken down. I'm not going to go through them individually, but they're there and it's stressful. So yes, got to be a little more open to hiring those people with some things that aren't quite so shiny on the background. Okay, look at you with the next slide already. Okay. All right, so there's a lot of issues that I'm sure people think about, and I'm going to go over a couple of them, specifically relating to public records, searching, how to read them, and things that unfortunately a lot of people do wrong. So number one, the individual that is looking up the background doesn't have the correct personal information to be able to match the potential candidate accurately to the record that they're viewing. For example, date of birth, middle name, be aware of how to overcome common name issues like Sam Smith or David Jones, and then Hispanic name format knowledge. If you're not familiar with someone who is from a culture where we carry 2 or 3, sometimes even 4 last names like myself, then it can be a little confusing if you don't know what you're looking for. Number 2, the searcher may not be well versed in the proper way to read and interpret the legal documents that they're viewing on a public forum, such as final dispositions specifically, which I'm going to go into a little bit more in a second. Number 3, lacks full understanding of charge versus conviction. Number 4, doesn't know how to look at the final disposition as well as the documents that show the outcomes, such as plea, diversion program, etc., and be able to combine the two. So the next slide, I'm going to go into that a little more detail. Thank you, ma'am. So what is a disposition? Disposition on a criminal record is the current status or the final outcome of an arrest or prosecution. This is once the case has been completed and the court has said, okay, this is the final standing. Thank you very much. You're all over it. Okay, so these are some of the common dispositions that you guys will probably come across. First one, no charges filed or charges dropped means the prosecutor has declined to pursue the case and basically pulled it back. Vacated means the court has withdrawn the guilty plea or set aside the guilty verdict, and for all purposes, you may state you have never been convicted of that crime. They're not required to check that box on an application. Sealed means the court has restricted access to all or some of the content of the record. However, the existence of this record will still be public record for juveniles, but not adults. The sealed crime is generally treated as if it never occurred, unless it has been subsequently sealed. Expunged, which a lot of people, especially my individuals that I work with that are on supervision, don't have a full grasp of this one. Expunged means that the deletion of the non-conviction information has been done. So if you or I were to do a level 2 background search, that is not going to come up unless it's for some level of security clearance. That's the only time that can be waived. Pending means the case is still ongoing. Diversion or deferred prosecution means the court has delayed prosecution pending the successful completion of a treatment program. That can be drug court, that can be veterans court, lots of different stipulations. So once that's done, charge is dismissed, and then they're going to go. Now, keep in mind, if they do violate or do something to, go against what their terms are, then that can be listed as a conviction, and they'll pull that program back. Convicted means that you have pled guilty or been found guilty by a court of law. Acquitted means that you have been found not guilty by a court of law in a criminal trial. Dismissed means the court or prosecutor has decided the charge against you should not go forward, terminating the case. Diversion or deferred prosecution means that the court has delayed prosecution pending the successful completion of said treatment program, at which the point the charges would then be dismissed. Again, if they don't complete or they violate, those can still be a conviction. Suspended sentence, where an offense pending the successful completion of a period of probation and or successful completion of a treatment program like above. If they don't break the law during that period and fulfills particular conditions of probation, the judge usually reduces the degree of the offense or may dismiss the case entirely. If you pull up a background report on a public forum, it can say charged with aggravated assault, but that can be pled down to a lesser charge. So if you're not looking at that disposition, you're going to see the more harsh charge and not see what they were actually finally given. So definitely pay attention to that when you're doing a public record search. Null pros, we're not going to try to say it in Latin because I'm not that fancy, but it is a Latin phrase which directly translates to not to wish to prosecute. It's a legal notice or entry of record that the prosecutor or plaintiff has decided to abandon the prosecution or lawsuit. Next one, which is the super fun one that a lot of people do not understand. Adjudication withheld. Love this. Commonly known version of this is a withhold, which is a special withhold sentence in which the judge orders probation but does not formally convict the defendant of a criminal offense. A withhold of adjudication is not a conviction, therefore the defendant avoids the negative consequences that result from criminal conviction. However, that is not detailed enough for people to have a firm grasp on it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that for you. Okay, so yes, they're not formally convicted of the criminal offense. However, simply, withholding adjudication essentially gives the defendants a second chance. What happened? There it is. Essentially gives the defendant a second chance without being arrested or charged for the crime and suffering the consequences, even if the defendant is guilty. However, the defendant is not free from sentencing. When adjudication is withheld for a felony offense, the judge can order a probation sentence, which can be a little tricky because they can add additional terms. They can have specific conditions. So they can order probation with a condition of probation, could be 30 days in jail. But just because they spent time in jail, it's not considered a conviction. So if it's a stipulation of probation, it falls under a different category. Can be confusing. So as long as they successfully complete all of the court mandated stipulations and pay any fines that needed to be paid, then there is no adjudication of guilt. This doesn't take their background down. It will still be searchable, but they are not adjudicated guilty. There's a statute listed there, 948.04, which means upon the termination of the period of probation, the probationer shall be released from probation and is not liable to sentence for the offense for which probation was allowed. If for some reason they get a violation, they have a new charge, that can be revoked, and that can be a hard conviction as a felony offense. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. That can be very confusing. And then lastly, my contact info. If anyone is interested in partnering, please feel free to send me an email. I can get you my info. Feel free to call me anytime. And thank you so much for your time. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Tiffany. Now, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker from Florida State University, Amberly Perhudka. I hope I say your name right. I'm so sorry.
Close enough. Free Hodka.
Go ahead, Amberly.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. So I'm really thrilled to be here. As Beatrice said, I am with the Institute for Justice Research and Development, and we are housed at Florida State University. We are a research institute at FSU, and our mission is really to improve lives and improve communities by developing and developing and researching really innovative approaches to reducing reliance on the criminal justice system. And so we work anywhere from the time someone is first introduced to the criminal justice system all the way through reentry. And so today in particular, I want to talk about a training that we are developing to help support the promotion and the retention of individuals who do have backgrounds with the criminal justice system. This was really, well, I want to say one more thing. Part of our mission is to take what we're learning in research, because there's this really little known sad fact that it typically takes 17 years from the time research is completed to the time it's put into practice and actually used in the field, being used for people who can actually use it. And we really think that that's unacceptable. So one of our priorities is really to take what we're learning, to translate it, and to give it and put it into the hands of the people who can actually use it right now. So that would be you all, right? And so we actually received a grant from the JP Morgan Foundation to develop a training. And this training really focuses on, so we have all of this great information. I know some of you are here and you're considering whether or not to hire a returning citizen. Some of you may be a little bit further in that process and you're already hiring returning citizens. And this training is really to support those who are hiring, right? Individuals who have an incarceration history, because it's almost like you've hired and then what, right? What next? And the reason that we wanted to develop that is because there is a lot of information out there on why you should hire and how you should hire. And we have these great events like today, being able to talk more about that. But a lot of individuals, they're still a little bit concerned, and they still want a little bit of extra support once they have hired. Maybe they want extra support to help understand maybe different barriers that might come up. Maybe they want extra support to continue to create that environment of diversity and inclusion within their company. And so we are developing this training, and it is a pilot training, and we are using research, right? Our research, the research that is out there on best promotion retention practices for this population, although there's not a whole lot. And then also it will be with input from employers who are already doing this really well and seeing a lot of success, and with input from individuals who have been incarcerated, who are now being successful in their jobs, in their career trajectories. Because that's also what we want to help support with this, is to get a job, yes, is incredibly important, but also how do we keep that job and have a trajectory? Because not only does that help the individual, like we've talked about today, like Beatrice talked about, Tiffany talked about, but it also helps the company. When we can, as you know, when we can reduce turnover, when we can retain really great employees, it's great for everyone. And so the purpose really of this training is to provide a better understanding of how to support this workforce so that they can continue to contribute to innovations and more efficient operations within your company. They have unique strengths that you can really begin to highlight within your company. Also to help increase productivity, because if we can, the employees are getting a lot of training, a lot of preparation, and then to help support you on your end, if you can help improve communication and understanding, that mutual trust, right? Again, that's going to help with that career trajectory, that team building, that company culture that you want to cultivate. And then also the purpose is to help your company create a sustainable plan for how to continue to build out the company culture that can better support and retain these individuals. You can go to the next slide, please. So right now we're currently looking for 10 employers who are hiring. And if you are not an employer who is currently hiring, but maybe today convinced you that you would like to hire, and you're beginning that process and starting that, then that could also include you. And so we're looking for employers to participate in this training. Like I said, you're going to hear success stories about what's working, because if we can figure out what's working on both the employer and the employee end, then you all can implement that wherever you're at, whatever company you're with, and also do more of that and continue to increase that. Participants will also learn skills and strategies to create and foster this cultural intelligence. And of course, employer satisfaction, again, decreasing turnover would be what we'd want to do. Just increasing awareness and behaviors and attitudes and policies to help you work more effectively. When we're thinking about diversity and inclusion, we know that BIPOC individuals are disproportionately represented within the criminal justice system. And so you can learn how to more effectively work together with employees from various racial and ethnic and social backgrounds as it relates to their incarceration. And then understand how to identify and cultivate the unique strengths. There are a lot of unique strengths. A lot of times we talk about what are the barriers, right? And there are barriers, and it's great for employers to understand those barriers in many different ways, but also more importantly to understand the unique strengths and how we can cultivate, just like we do with other employees. We want to build on their strengths, help them continue to move forward in their careers with your company. And so that's really what this training is all about. Just a little bit of information, and we can go to the next slide, about some training details. What we see this as you'll initially do an online around half day self-paced training. So it doesn't have to be done all in one sitting, but it's just some pre-foundational information. There'll be videos to watch. It'll be very interactive. And then a live 2-day training as well. And so you would send representatives from your company, and I'll talk about who that might be, to do this interactive training. And we would come to you. We would schedule it at a time that's convenient for you and for your company. And this would be totally free for your company right now in this pilot stage. And in return, we would just ask for your feedback. So it wouldn't be a long follow-up where you would have to sit with us and, talk a lot. It would probably just be, it would just be a survey of what you really liked about the training. What was still missing as an employer who hires returning citizens? What can we do better? And then we're going to refine the training. And after we refine it based on all of this wonderful feedback from the employers who participate, we would offer a train the trainer session. That would be optional, but essentially you would receive the curriculum that we've created. We would train representatives in your company to then be able to continue to facilitate that training so that you don't have to continue to rely on us, but you can continue this program within your company. And so our hope would be that it would become very sustainable and something that you can continue as you build out your company culture. The next slide, if you'll go to the next one. Again, it's a free pilot program, we're looking for employers in Florida right now, and then who are hiring returning citizens, or if you're about to take the plunge and begin to hire returning citizens, we have some time as we're developing this training, and so we wouldn't really begin to do the training until around July. Who would want to come to the training? Members of leadership within your company, HR teams, HR leaders, representatives, and members of management. And then the reason for that is because what we would like to happen is we're providing you information that can help you continue to craft policies and ways to support this workforce and continue to move forward in this trajectory, help them move forward, and keep this really talented pool of people at your company, essentially. And so you can move on to the next slide. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out to me, or if you just like more information on the training or anything else, we also provide lots of other trainings as well. But I would love to talk with you more if you have questions about it. And also I wanted to say, if you're still on the fence, there's a really wonderful book. I don't know if you can see it because I kind of have blurred. It's called Untapped Talent: How Second Chance Hiring Works for Your Business and the Community. And the author of that book is Jeffrey Korzenik. And it is really, a lot of people have found it really, really helpful. And so if you are still on the fence, that is a book that I very highly recommend for you to read. And thank you very much for your time. And I'm so happy to have been with you today.
Thank you. Thank you, Amberly. And thank you everyone for participating. Right now, Clinton, if you can, please stop the recording